Welcome to this episode. I hope you're keeping safe and well in our current circumstance. Hope you're able to get on the bike, whether that's getting out there on the road or whether you totally hate yourself and you're smashing the turbo. Whatever flicks your switch, I hope you're doing it and it's keeping you sane. This episode covers a set of rides that I did just before Odax UK suspended the season. However, the fourth ride actually did go over that suspension time. However, AUK did look at this situation and decided to validate my last ride. So this was actually based upon some rules for long permanents that allow for splitting them up over multiple days. I wasn't aware of these rules at all myself. I think they probably also took into consideration though the fact that I was basically incommunicado for the 4 days that I was out there riding, and that their fourth ride was done in sort of totally good faith. So I just want to say a big thank you really to AUK for spending some time to consider the circumstance. This is a feature-length 2-part episode. Hopefully you got some time on your hands so you won't mind watching a longer one. I'm hoping to have the second part online in the next week to 10 days. Following that, there'll also be an unpacking video where I go through all the kit that I took with me on the trip, and I talk a little bit about what worked well, what didn't work so well, and I'll also take you through the prep I did to the bike as well, what the things that I changed and what I thought about those changes on this trip. I left Birmingham heading pretty much straight west towards Mid Wales, passing through Tenbury Wells, Pristine, Booth Wells, Llanwrtyd Wells, then around Llynbran Reservoir, and eventually reaching the T Cornell Hostel. So it's about 8:30, been on the road about an hour, left a little later than planned, which is quite unlike me when I'm doing a long one. Now when I say a long one, it's actually, I would suggest maybe 4 long ones. 4 200k DIYs over the next 4 days. That's right. So those of you with a GCSE maths will know that's 800 kilometers in 4 days, which yeah, that's quite a way, but I'm feeling pretty good for it. It's certainly going to be a challenge. I mean, add into that as well that each of those days is a AAA, so we're talking really minimum of 12,000 meters of climbing, which is no small amount, right? But again, split that up by each day, 3,000 meters each day. Yeah, it's a reasonable amount, but it's not outrageous. I decided to do this as 4 200s instead of 1 800, because I just didn't really want the overnight time pressure that a single 800 would bring. This trip was always planned really as a bit of a tour, a bit of a bikepacking trip. My girlfriend was meant to be in Tokyo this week with work, so I thought, well, you know what, I'll go ride my bike for 3 or 4 days. Knocking it out as 4 200s kind of gives me that flexibility of getting as much sleep as I need each night, not having to kind of rush out each morning, not really having to rush through the rides themselves. I'm planning on potentially being full value every day, so that will give me 14 hours to do 200k, which honestly I'll be surprised if I use, but I'm not going to be not trying to use it, if you see my point.
So in the past I would have always approached a trip like this to be a bivvy trip. So, you know, bivvy bag, tarp, wild camping. There just wouldn't have even been any other options in my head, really. This time round I've decided to take a different approach. I'm staying in a couple of hostels and a B&B. Tonight's hostel is T Cornell, which is mid Wales. It's pretty remote. Hey, check out these two. Look at this little guy go. It's a T Cornell hostel. It's yeah, fairly remote one. There's not even a paved road into it, if memory serves me correctly. I'm not exactly sure why I decided to do that sort of trip this time. I guess just to do something different. I mean, also as well, I've got to concede that being able to get a shower every day, well, that's certainly an attractive thing. I think particularly that since I've been riding on the road, I've actually had to deal with saddle sores a whole lot more than I ever did when I was a purely kind of off-road rider. So being able to get a shower and kind of take care of the hygiene in that department, yeah, that's an attractive offer right now. So just coming into Tenbury Wells, I'm 63k in, heading to Mr. Tom's for a sausage roll. You alright for that? I need 2 sausage rolls, please. Yeah, no problem. Yeah. That's it, cheers. Is it cash only? So, somewhat quicker stop than I had originally planned in Tenbury Wells. Sat down outside Mr. Tom's and it started raining. And I mean, now look at it. So I suspect it could be one of those days really of small fine showers, waterproof on, waterproof off. I guess the next stop that I planned in now was Prestine at 104k, was it? Little coffee house there, I can stop for coffee, maybe a sandwich. Just over halfway that'll be. Is that mistletoe? Bit out of season, right? Or is it? I don't know. See, when you're looking up the road, right, and you see that ahead of you, you start to resign yourself to a bit of a slog, and then you realise actually your route goes this way. What a result that is, huh? Yeah, so check out this road. Woo! Jeez, this is bad, isn't it? So hopefully the camera's picking up that rainbow. Just stopped for lunch in Prestine at the Coffee House Cafe. It's kind of interesting, this cafe. If you need to use the loo, you've got to come down this little side alley here. I've stashed my bike round the back. That's where the toilet is. So the wind's really picked up now. Feels like a proper headwind. Now I was expecting this straight from the off, so to be at about 110k is actually kind of, I'm pretty thankful for, honestly. So I think this is one of the real steep ones today. Said this must be 13 or 14% this bit of the climb, maybe even steeper. So I just stopped in Booth Wells. Hadn't really planned for that to be a cafe stop, but it's one of those times of listening to your body. The section from Preston to Booth, just absolute relentless climbing. The worst thing about it though was actually just, it was really exposed, and the wind, yeah, was pretty considerable. So yeah, and I was feeling awful actually. I couldn't get warm. You might be able to tell the rain's come in now. But yeah, I couldn't get warm. So I just thought, well, I've really got to stop for a rest and hot drink. Which is a good plan because I'm feeling loads better now. So it's about 55k left on the ride. I think another 1,000 meters maybe. Maybe a bit less. Let's just hope the weather doesn't make it a total grind. Yeah, you can see how low the cloud is now. Man, it's really come in. Whew. So I'm just coming into Untitled Wells. I kind of fancy just cracking on and getting to the hostel. So I think I'm going to stop at the spa and pick up supplies to cook dinner at the hostel. Hopefully get some pasta maybe. Yeah, like some fresh ravioli, something like that. Well, that was the shop I was hoping to buy dinner in. That's pretty unfortunate. I'm really not even sure if there's another shop. I guess I might pop in this hotel and find out. Okay, so my hand was forced pretty much there then, and I ended up having dinner in the Bellevue. Yeah, totally excellent crack with the locals. They were all half cut, but really good chatting with them and having the crack. I actually really enjoyed that. It's kind of sometimes it's those random events that happen on these kind of trips that end up being some of the most memorable things. Anyway, got about 33k left now. Much of that is gravel road, and there's at least one massive stinker of a climb to go. So I'm going to kind of like think about maybe this will be 2 hours. That's a very conservative estimate. I mean, hopefully it'll be quicker, but losing the light now, so may not record much until I get to the hostel. But I'll try and get something from the gravel road really, just to kind of like show how the conditions are there. Maybe it'll be pretty good actually. Don't know. Let's see what happens. So I'm onto the gravel road now. It's in reasonable condition actually. Out of the wind, it's fairly quick climbing. As soon as you turn into the wind though, wow, it's worth about 6 or 7k an hour at the moment. So visibility's down to about 20 yards now, maybe not even that. Right up in the clouds. It's yeah, pretty damp and horrible up here. Not so bad though. I mean, I'm at the top of the first peak. It's a short descent, and then another climb back to the same height, and then a long descent if memory serves correctly. Right, so made it to the hostel. Wow, that last 3k was absolutely horrendous. Tough, slow going. Where was it? Untitled Wells. I was like, oh yeah, maybe it will take me 2 hours. That'll be, you know, shouldn't take too much longer than that. Well, I reckon that last 3k almost took 45 minutes. I mean, I've literally only just made it in time to be within the 14 hours for the for an ODAX. Man, that was really tough going. Total hiker bike.
real slatey, stony, big rocks, really steep as well to try and get up there. Just in terms of a few stats, that was pretty much 200 kilometers on the nose. It took 13 hours 37 minutes. Crazy. And in terms of climbing, what did we get to in the end? 3,600 meters of climbing. So I had a pretty broken sleep last night, but feeling okay, I guess. Legs feel fine this morning. Did the old walking downstairs test and actually pretty fine. Got the fire going just to try and at least start the day nice and warm. It would appear the rain isn't quite as bad as was predicted. I suspect what's happened there is I've actually experienced that rain last night instead, which honestly I'm pretty thankful about, because kind of good to in some regards having that at the end of the day is sort of better than starting it. So yeah, so hopefully going to be out the hostel in the next 15 or 20 minutes. Leaving T Cornell, I headed north on a snaking, weaving route throughout Mid Wales, passing through Devil's Bridge, Borth, Machynlleth, Twin, and eventually crossing Barmouth Bridge and into Barmouth town. So this is what I didn't see last night in the dark. So it's raining a bit, but nothing too bad. So hopefully this morning I can illustrate to you why last night was just so bad. So last night I just busted straight through this stream on the slope down. It was kind of deeper in the middle than it looked. I think it's deeper now than it was last night. So that's that nightmare done. 3.8k, 40 minutes. Whew. I guess if I'd been bivvying on this trip, I never would have had to bother doing that, because I would have stayed at the at this chapel here, like bivvied in the grounds of the chapel. So last night I came from up this way and pushed up that. It was probably about 9 o'clock. Horizontal rain
very windy. It's very difficult to get an idea of how steep that is, but I mean, I think that ramps up to like 18% at the steepest part, so pretty tough going. So really now I've just like first stop today, Two Hoots Cafe, 50k in, gonna try and load up on food there. I guess we'll just be getting on with it now. So it's the Midwells phone box. This phone box, eh? Honestly, absolute middle of nowhere. I'm going to use it right now to quickly change into my bigger waterproof. Okay, so I'm off the road again. As you can see, the rain's started again. I had a brief 10 minutes 50 or so with no rain, which was good, but just done a reasonably big climb, and as you can see, this gravel road is actually in immensely good condition, so I think I should be able to pick up a bit of time here now. This is heading towards Strata, Florida. Really hoping I planned the route correctly. It's been about 5 or 6 years since I've ridden this way. Although I did ride here quite a lot back then. On a mountain bike, of course. Just hopefully I got the route right and I didn't pick the 4x4 track. With the amount of rain we've had, that could be, you know, thigh deep or worse. But I'm fairly sure I got the route right. Let's hope, hey. Hey, that's what we're out here for, right? Man, you gotta love Wales. So back off road again. As I was coming down the road and needed to turn off to come down here, I kind of had a sudden moment of panic in terms of, oh man, where have you rooted yourself? But actually I totally remember this now. Alright, so just stopped at Two Hoots Cafe. Tried to eat a sausage, egg, bacon sandwich. Could only really put about half of it away. Stomach feels pretty bad. I'm cold, man. I'm really cold. Really hoping this little climb now is going to get me back up to temperature. Hello. I've not got time to be talking to you. I've got to get on my way. I've just done what I imagine is probably the biggest climb today. I think it was 350, 400 meters. And got kind of steep in places. But when you get to views like this at the top, somewhat worthwhile. So, like a complete idiot, I forgot to fill my bottles at the petrol station, and there's no way I can do another 55, 60k with no water. So I'm in Borth. Pretty incredible view here. Kind of had to just stop and get a look, really. Oh, Borth Tandoori. That sounds amazing right now. Maybe I can get a curry delivery when I get to Barmouth. Maybe they'll deliver to the B&B. This is probably the last of the meaningful light to film by, so I'm about 35k out now. I think I've got one big climb left to do. Let's see how big. Well, I mean, the top of it goes out the top of the screen on the elevation. Caught up a reasonable amount of time in this last, well, in the second half. I'm up to about 15.8k an hour average now for the day, which is obviously not very fast, but that's going to get me there in time. Probably see you in Barmouth. So here we are, Barmouth Bridge. Bloody hell, it's bumpy.
I'm kind of messed up tired right now, so I kind of need to get this done quick. But yeah, that was kind of a tricky day. Started off very hard, kind of gradually got easier over the day. A few reasons for that. One, massively the weather. Got completely drenched twice. got quite cold at a few points, like even shivering and stuff. So that was kind of like slightly concerning. They started off really tough though with that hike bike from the hostel over to the chapel, and then that meant that I was like playing catch up all day, which is kind of strangely mentally quite tiring, because I kept sort of having to double check what my average speeds were to make sure I was going to get in there, get it done within the 14 hours. Probably a lesson to learn there about prioritize what you're kind of worried about and what you're spending your mental energy on. The other thing it meant though that was kind of interesting was that after my breakfast stop at 50k, I didn't have a cafe stop after that, just did petrol station stops and that kind of thing all day. Maybe makes me think that I could put up with a lot less kind of breaks. Although, look, normally in 14 hours, why not enjoy it a little bit more and have a few nice breaks with some coffee and a slice of cake, right? But yeah, look, on the whole, I think a good day. In terms of how the body's holding up, legs are sore, but it kind of feels manageable. My little fingers aren't really working properly. I can't kind of like move them around in the way I used to be able to. Never mind. Saddle sore a bit. I mean, I've had much worse from just 200s, so let alone 400s. Yeah, so that puts me 402 kilometers deep and 7,000 meters of climbing, which is 1,000 meters more than I was expecting to have done by this point. There were some stunningly big views. The scale of some of those valleys, amazing. I really enjoyed the fact as well that I routed down to the sea at Borth and Twin, and actually it was really good seeing the sea. Yeah, really enjoyed that. The big climb as well out of Twin. Yeah, I brought back some really good memories. The last time I was there was about 5 or 6 years ago, and the night was so clear that I was able to switch off all my lights and ride by moonlight. Couldn't do that tonight, but yeah, it just brought back some beautiful memories for me. Okay, well, I guess that's it. Night for now.